Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Play On Podcast Hurling edition. In this part, myself and Luke are going to look at the Dublin versus Cork game, in which Cork march on to the All Ireland Hurling semi final, knocking Dublin out of the All Ireland Championship. Dublin's surprisingly good year comes to an end. Nobody was expecting them to beat Galway in the first round. Then, of course, the outbreak of COVID in their squad hampered them a lot before the Leinster final against Kilkenny. We lost that. Then we got Cork in the quarter-final. Owen O'Donnell was out injured. Massive blow for the team. And Cork got two first-half goals, which really took the stuffing out of Dublin. And Cork go through. What did you make of this game?
Yeah, look, I suppose for two of us, we're watching these games kind of through the Dublin perspective. So it's like obviously as a hurling fan and certainly a Dublin fan, I found it it was a tough kind of one to watch because I just thought that Dublin they were outperformed by Cork, they were outran by Cork, and I thought that Cork kind of nearly bullied them a little bit, and just the speed kind of the Cork half forward line, midfield, and I suppose even in some cases half back line was just kind of too much for Dublin really in the end, and ultimately kind of the game was kind of always at arm's length for Dublin. Like maybe they got it back to kind of two scores at the end, and maybe people were starting to think that there was a chance of kind of a comeback, and then Cork just kind of they upped their game again and just sealed the deal really. So look, really professional by Cork, and but from Dublin perspective, I suppose disappointing because you want to be getting back to kind of you want to start kind of competing at the highest level again, and a semi-final appearance would have been huge for Dublin, but just not good enough, I suppose, to be beating a team like Cork right now.
Yeah, but definitely a year of progress, in my opinion, for Dublin, to have made it this far. And the championship score, it reads, played for 1-2, lost 2. So, not the worst championship, especially considering their patchy form coming into it in the league campaign. It was looking a little bit worrying, but to pull out a very impressive win over a fancied Antrim side, and then to beat Galway, which was the shock of the year, really, in my opinion. There are definitely a lot of positives to take from this year. They lose to Cork by 226 to 24 points. It's a very, very exciting Cork team with some genuine class players like Patrick Horgan, Shane Kingston, Seamus Hanby. So it's not the worst result when you're talking about progress. And Dublin now are in a phase where they're trying to bring through a lot of players. There's definitely, progression there happening in Dublin. Obviously, you saw the under-20s winning the Leinster title, just some hugely talented players like Lee Gannon coming through. So the future is looking brighter for Dublin hurling. But, do you think that Matty Kenny is the right man to bring this talent through?
Yeah, look, I don't know. I think that not many kind of you could have Brian Cody himself with this Dublin team, and he wouldn't probably get them much further than where they are right now. Because look, the what Dublin really need is an out and out superstar forward, and look, they just don't have it right now. And they probably do have it, and it's I think Anthony Daly was making this point, was that if you look kind of who's been the best club hurler kind of in the last 5 years across the country, and it's Conor O'Callaghan who is playing with the footballers. So it's just impossible for Dublin to lose all the talent that they've lost. You look at Kieran Kilkenny, Costello, Con himself as well, and just to think that these lads could be playing for that team. You throw those lads into a team, they could be legitimate All-Ireland contenders, but it's just too much, I think, for Dublin to have lost. And I don't think Matty can be really expecting to get much more out of that team, considering he could have those three superstar forwards if they'd chosen kind of the small ball. But look, he just has to make two with the panel he has. And look, I think an All-Ireland quarter-final with that panel is probably what Dublin about all Dublin kind of really expect right now.
Yeah, I do like Matty Kenny a lot as a manager. I think he's very likeable. And, he does have a good relationship with the players. There is a bond there with the panel. But in the future, I think a really interesting matchup would be if Eddie Brennan was to take over as Dublin manager in the future. I think the job that he did with Laois, and then if coming into Dublin, and he would have the resources that he wanted but couldn't get at Laois. and he would definitely be given those resources at Dublin. And I think that would be a fascinating project.
Yeah, look, I think that look he'd taken the Kula job as well, and maybe I think he might himself have half an eye on that Dublin job. That if it were to free up by moving to work with Kula, that I think he might have kind of had half the eye on the Dublin job himself. So yeah, look at that. He's been a name that's like certainly been tipped to Dublin a few times. Himself and Davy Fitz seem to be the names that are always kind of linked with Dublin. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I think if Matty wants another year, I think he'll be given another year. And yeah, initially when he came in, I was kind of excited because as primarily a Dublin hurling supporter, like you kind of want to see the best players playing hurling for Dublin. And maybe I thought with his cooler connections and everything that maybe he could convince Con to come over and play the small ball. But yeah, I think maybe that kind of bridge is kind of been crossed now at this stage, and it doesn't really look like any sort of switch is kind of coming.
Yeah, no, I'd say the hat's over the wall for that one now. Like Con has he's nailed his colours to the mast. He's a Dublin footballer, and but let's get on to the actual game itself. Dublin, were beaten by Cork. What do you think Cork did well in this game?
Yeah, look, I think the important thing to kind of note straight away is like you look kind of at some of these young fellas that have kind of started to become very settled into the team straight away. And I think the place to start is probably Tim O'Mahony. And like that, the goal was like it was nearly a carbon copy of Kyle Hayes', where he picks up the ball kind of on his own 45 and then runs through. Liam Rush has his feet planted in front of him, and O'Mahony just throws a sidestep at him and is gone and absolutely burns him for pace. And then straight off the hurl top corner. And it was just a remarkable finish. And it kind of summed up exactly what Cork are about now. It's all pace, power, and it's just running straight at the heart of teams. And look, they look like a constant goal threat the whole time. And yeah, with this kind of short passing through the lines and direct running, like they look an absolute handful, and they could run any team ragged really on any given day. And look, this is on a smaller turles pitch. Like imagine what it's going to be like in Croke Park there next week against Kilkenny.
Yeah, 100%. And interesting enough, what's going to be fascinating about that game is that they'll be coming up against what is, in my opinion, second to Limerick as the best full back line in the country. Hugh Lawler, Paddy Deegan, it's going to be fascinating to see who they pick up. And definitely it is like a mantra within their side to go for the goal, when the opportunity comes about, particularly players like Jack O'Connor and Shane Kingston have a real eye for it. Another thing that we have to take into account is that this project with Donald O'Grady, in the background as well, it has had very little time to actually, come together. So the fact that they've beaten Clare, they've beaten Dublin, and now they're into a semi-final against Kilkenny, definitely the weaker side of the draw. So they have an outside shot of making the All-Ireland final.
Yeah, look, I think you kind of alluded to there, like the Donald O'Grady influence. And I remember there was a league game against Limerick in the earlier in the year, and in that game, kind of there was all sorts of breakdown with the passing through the lines, and like people were saying that like this isn't going to work, that was too risky, and that Cork, they just didn't look like they could do it in time. And look, I think it's come on absolute leaps and bounds. Look, this is the whole point of the league, is that clearly that the Cork management have given Patrick Collins the license to. They told him that this is what we want you to do, and if you make mistakes in the league, so be it. And that we're not aiming to win the league. We want to have it right for the championship. And look, that's really starting to bear fruit now, because it looked a whole lot smoother the week. And in my opinion, Patrick Collins so far has been like the clear choice for all-star goalkeeper so far this year. I think his distribution has been exceptional. He's made some huge saves as well again at the weekend. So yeah, look, it's starting to click a little bit for Cork. Obviously, it is, like you said, it's kind of still early days, and they're kind of missing a few lads between Damien Catalan and Owen Cadigan. But yeah, look, I really think they're going to fancy their chances against kind of Kilkenny. Like you talked about the Kilkenny full back line being so good, but they won't have faced a challenge like this Cork full forward line yet. You look kind of Jack O'Connor is just taking on anyone kind of. As soon as the ball's in his hand, he's just turning his man and going. And you look kind of Paddy Deegan's been really, really good, but he does have a tendency kind of to drag fellas down to run at him. So I think that is somewhere that Cork can probably get a bit of joy from. And I think it'll be an interesting one. And like you kind of look at it, Shane Barrett and Alan Connolly coming straight from the under-20s. they've both been exceptional for the last 2 games coming off the bench, and the energy that they bring. So yeah, I think it's like plenty of good signs for Cork. And then we're not even considering kind of their latest success in underage. They're going to have an under-20 hurling final coming up. They won it last year as well. So there's so much coming through for Cork. And I think they're in a pretty great place right now, and potentially could be in a position, if they play it right, where they can be competing for titles for the next 10 years.
Yeah, 100%. It feels like Cork have been waiting an age for this young talent to come through, but now, they definitely have the right setup as well for it to come through into. And yeah, so guys, that is our review of the Dublin versus Cork game. It finished Cork 226, Dublin 24 points. Dublin's championship is over for 2021. Cork live to fight another day. They go into the All-Ireland semi-final against Kilkenny, which we will give a full preview for, as well as the semi-final between Limerick and Waterford. Don't forget to have a look at that as well, and take care.